closer. "What do you mean?" "Floor, please. I need to focus on my driving." She turned the radio on, and rock music blasted through the car, loud enough to drown out any further questions. Dropping my rabbit, I clamped my hands together on my lap and tried to keep my feet from fidgeting on the floor mat. But they wouldn't stay still. She'd never done anything like this before. Yet after what happened last week at school, what I might have done, I was scared. She turned the car onto a dirt road. The vehicle bumped along for 30 minutes or so, while the dark, spooky forest grew closer and closer around us. A sudden fog fell, engulfing the vehicle. It crept on spindly spider feet through the car, so thick I couldn't see more than an arm's reach beyond my window. Mom slowed, but kept going, inching along the road. Leaning forward, her face scrunched tight with tension. "Should we, turn around?" I asked. "I'm scared." I did not say, though the words hung around my neck like a lead weight. "We'll be there soon." "Where?" The fog suddenly lifted, and we reached a dead end. As I stared out the window, my palms sweaty, Mom parked in front of a huge arched gate, spanning the gap between a long, spiky black iron fence. A sign mounted beside the gate said, "Crystal Wing Academy," in gilded letters. Magical worlds were my go-to reading material. I might only be in the 5th grade, but I'd read everything I could get my hands on, even adult fantasy books. Crystal Wing, plus the word academy, sparked my imagination. Despite my worry about what we were doing here, I couldn't help wondering what exciting things lay beyond the gate. "Wait here," Mom said, as she shoved open her door and got out of the car. Since the incident at school, she'd been short with me. I'd heard her crying late at night. How could she blame me for the fire? I hadn't had a lighter or matches, and everyone knows you can't start a fire without creating some sort of spark. But leave it to Mom to find a way to pin what happened with Tristan on me. Mom's door slammed shut, and she strode over to the gate where she paused to study the sign. Her shoulders lifted and fell, and she hesitated before pushing a button that must engage a bell somewhere deep behind the fence, because a distant gong shivered through the air. The woods were dense around us, hovering on both sides of the road. Vines crept and draped, hanging so low they brushed the top of the car. We'd found our way inside a shaggy beast's belly. As if by magic, the steel gates creaked open, the grinding, rushing sound raking down my spine and making me lean forward, almost afraid to find out what might come next. The sound must have scared Mom, too, because she stumbled backward. Then her hands clenched and her back ramrodded. Nodding, she hurried back to the car and slipped into the driver's seat. She ground the starter and the engine fired. Again, without saying anything, she drove through the gate and it thudded closed behind us. My mouth drier than a desert, I shrunk into my seat, too frightened to beg Mom for more information. As she took the vehicle up a long, paved drive, I leaned against the vinyl door and stared out the window at the blur of woods we passed. The forest gave way to sunshine and a lawn with flower beds, benches, and paths weaving through clusters of trees. Just beyond the lawn, a series of connected tall stone buildings with turrets and towers, and even what looked like a broad moat waited. The academy had been constructed of cinder-gray stone that looked cold enough to freeze my fingers if I touched it. Mom shut off the car in front of a steep granite staircase that reached toward a platform extending over the moat. The platform ended at 2 matching, tall wooden doors with a silver knocker shaped like the head of a dragon. After releasing a whoosh of air, Mom turned to peer back at me. "You know I don't want to do this." She hadn't told me what this was yet, but I didn't like it, not one bit. "Are we—" I shook off the quakes, pinching my bones. "Why are we here?" "Get out." Mom thrust open her door again, and we both soon stood outside on the hot pavement. The heat of the sun made